Yeah, it's good. It is good to be back. It is good that Nintendo is back. Nintendo is competing again. Nintendo is a legit company again. And we can tell this by the fact that they're charging so much money for their console and their games. I'm sorry, that's still a little... I gotta set that aside. Still a little salty about it. But what I want to talk about is Nintendo's actually competing. Like, after Switch 1, and Switch 1 was kind of the redemption, the character arc of Nintendo. Like, they needed to rebuild the trust of all these third-party developers and, you know, their fans after the Wii U. And they had to prove that they still had it. That they were still worth you spending your money on them and their stuff. And I think they did that. I think they did a pretty good job at that. They succeeded. And they are coming out the gates with a pretty solid lineup, pretty solid upgrades to the Switch, pretty solid price tag. All right, I'm done. We're done with that. Let's just start in order. I think the Switch 2 hardware, first of all, and this is the thing that I think it actually matters. For many generations, Nintendo has been behind in terms of graphics. Basically, they were competing up to the GameCube, and then the GameCube was competing with, you know, PS2, Xbox, whatever. And then the Wii came around. They were like, you know what? We see the trajectory of the gaming market, and all these other companies are trying to make they're trying to make more graphics, more, you know, gamer. Like, they're just that became the shtick of Sony and Microsoft, is making the most powerful console as fast as possible. And in recent years, that's kind of tapered off. Like, graphics are pretty, like, hyper realistic, and I don't think they're going to get much more hyper realistic than they already are. And so now that Nintendo is, like, catching up, it's like a big deal. The Wii was basically a GameCube. Like, they basically continued the same hardware that they had from the GameCube to the Wii. It's slightly worse in ways. And then from the Wii U was an upgrade from the Wii in terms of graphics, but, you know, it was still behind the other competing consoles at the time. And then the Wii U to Switch, like, the Switch is slightly more powerful than the Wii U, but not much. Not by much. And so, really, Nintendo's like 2 generations behind in terms of their hardware. And then things got desynced because they released the Wii U early, and then, you know, everybody, and then Microsoft started releasing like 7 million consoles, and so there aren't really like clear delineating boundaries between generations of consoles anymore. There's just like in between generations and whatever, who cares? Point is, the Switch 2 is powerful. Like, it's like, from what I've seen and heard, it's like maybe around PS4 Pro levels of power. I mean, I'm seeing like third-party games that I'm used to only seeing on Sony and Microsoft consoles functioning on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a handheld, basically, and it's playing well. They're playing the games decently well, and obviously most of the footage is in docked mode, but still, it looks pretty good. The more I learn about this, like, the more powerful it seems to be. It's more powerful than the Steam Deck, which I never had a Steam Deck, but the appeal to the Steam Deck seemed pretty obvious. And so Nintendo is graphically competing with Sony and Microsoft again, which is nuts. Like, for us Nintendo fans, we have been like, okay, for a little bit of background, I never really cared much about Sony and Microsoft. I had a PS2, didn't have very many games. I had an Xbox One, also didn't have very many games. eventually I just kind of migrated and was like, I stuck with Nintendo because I liked their first party games, and I had a PC to emulate things and do mods and also play PC games. And now a lot of the IPs that I cared about on Microsoft are on PC, like Halo. Sunset Overdrive's on Microsoft. Minecraft is on everything. So, you know, anything that I cared about on Microsoft is on PC, and everything that Nintendo does is sort of also on PC, but better. So that was kind of my gaming ecosystem. It was predominantly Nintendo and PC, and so playing PC games for a bit, I really got spoiled by having these nice 144 hertz monitors, which allowed for a higher refresh rate in games, which allowed for smoother frame rate, obviously, and better graphics through the graphics card. And I was just like, man, anything below 60 FPS is super choppy and ugly. And so I was just so used to that because I'm a PC nerd and I care about frame rate. And the Switch, like I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, and that game runs like a retarded heart attack. Like I can barely play it. It's so choppy and bad. And then I look at the upgraded version on Switch 2, and it looks great. Like, it looks great, it plays better, it's amazing. And then I see like other third-party games, and they look really, really good. Like Cyberpunk. I don't care about that game, but it looks good. They've got like Madden and stuff. Well, they got the EA Sports stuff. I'm sure they will have the GTAs. They're gonna have the Elder Scrolls. They're gonna have all these games. And that's the other thing about being like a PC nerd. The Switch also, not only is it competing with Sony and Microsoft in terms of graphics, it's not competing with PC. Not quite. But it targets the PC audience with the mouse controls and having like decent graphics. Like, it's not, it's obviously not going to be as powerful as like the latest and greatest graphics card that you can buy and run like, hyper realistic, ray tracing. I don't know. I don't have any other words to describe it. PC games are ridiculous, but with the Joy-Cons doubling as mice, they're targeting the PC audience, because now this Nintendo console is as powerful as some of the competition, and the controls, like, there are some people who are diehard PC people, the mouse thing is a big deal. Now, it might be gimmicky, it might not work, it really depends on how people use it, but even if you just use it as like a way to control the camera in most games, that's going to be a pretty big sell for a lot of people. Also, the display in handheld it can go up to 120 hertz. That's insane. I never expected that. I was like, we'll be lucky if we get 4K 60 FPS. That's like the baseline. That's like, you get 4K 60 FPS, or you take it out, it's handheld, 1080p, 120 frames. That's crazy. Or no. It can even display 120 hertz, I think, at 1080 on docked mode. Like, because Prime 4 can be either 4K at 60 FPS or 1080 at 120 FPS. My TV doesn't even display 120 hertz. Like, you have to get like a special gaming nerd boy TV for that. Like, I have a TV. I have like a normal, like, it's a smart TV. It's a nice TV, but still, it is not 120 hertz. It's 60. Anyway, the point is, just it being able to display at 120 hertz, that was something completely out of left field that I never expected. And because of this hardware being in place, and because of Nintendo having built their repertoire through the Switch era, the Switch 2 is coming out the gate with legit third-party support, like from the get-go. With the Switch 1, you had some third-party support. Every Nintendo console has some third-party support. But with the Switch 1, they had to build up that trust. And I would say within like a year or two, they established that firmly. And then Switch 2 comes around, and it's established. They are a force to be reckoned with. They're competing with Sony, Microsoft, and even PC markets to some degree, which is very interesting. So it's just very interesting to see Nintendo actually be competitive in the audience that they're targeting, and all the upgrades that they have in the Switch 2. There's nothing like revolutionary. Like, they're not breaking any new ground. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. You know, like, is the Switch 3 going to be the same thing, or is there going to be a Switch 3? That's a whole different conversation for a different time. I don't even want to think about that. I'm trying to figure out which bank I can go to take out a loan to buy this thing. Anyway, that's it. One day. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. It is an interesting time to be a Nintendo fan. This is a very interesting development with the Switch 2, I think. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I've been thinking about. Tell me what you've been thinking about. What do you like the Switch? Do you think it's too boring? Is it not innovative enough? Is it I don't know. What do you think? Just tell me. Tell me what you think. Or else I will be very sad.